Deja vu is one of the strangest ordinary experiences a human can have. You walk into a room, hear a sentence, turn a corner, or look at a face, and suddenly the present feels copied from somewhere else. For a few seconds your brain says, "This has already happened." Most memories have two parts. One part says, "I know this." The other part says, "Here is where it came from." Deja vu happens when the first part lights up, but the second part stays blank. Familiarity arrives without a source. Your brain is constantly comparing the present with patterns it has seen before. A hallway shape, a certain light, a smell, a rhythm of conversation, the layout of a street. It does this quickly and quietly because pattern recognition helps you move through the world. One explanation is a tiny timing glitch. Information may reach memory checking systems slightly out of sync. The brain processes the moment, then almost immediately processes it again. The second pass can feel like a memory, even though it happened a fraction of a second ago. Deja vu is more common when people are tired, stressed, distracted, or overloaded. That makes sense. A tired brain is still powerful, but its timing and filtering can become less precise. The mind may tag something as familiar before it has checked the details properly. The feeling can also happen more often in young adults, possibly because memory systems are active, flexible, and constantly comparing new experiences with old patterns. As life becomes more predictable, the brain may have fewer sharp novelty comparisons to make. What makes déjà vu fascinating is that it reveals how memory is not a perfect recording. Memory is a live process. The brain is always building, checking, tagging, and interpreting the present using fragments of the past. The next time it happens, you do not need to panic. You are not seeing the future. You are noticing a tiny spark in the memory system, a small timing error, a source mix-up, a familiar pattern without a file attached. Most of the time it gets the answer right, but every now and then, the brain stamps a new moment with the feeling of an old one. That is déjà vu, not magic, not madness, but a beautiful little glitch in the machinery of memory. This is why the experience can feel deeper than a normal mistake. If you forget where you put your keys, you know you forgot. But with déjà vu, the feeling arrives before the explanation. The brain gives you certainty first and evidence second, then the evidence never appears. Imagine walking into a cafe that has the same layout as somewhere you visited years ago. The window is on the same side. The counter bends the same way. Someone laughs with a similar rhythm. None of these details are enough to create a clear memory, but together they can trigger the feeling of knowing. Researchers study this because it separates memory from familiarity. It shows that remembering is not one single button. There are different systems working together: recognition, context, emotion, attention, timing, and source tracking. When those systems disagree, reality becomes strange. The feeling arrives alone. It is like receiving a notification from your brain with no message attached. Something says known, but nothing says why. This is also why déjà vu disappears so quickly. The brain starts checking the moment, looking for evidence. It searches for the memory that should be there. When it cannot find one, the illusion weakens. The present becomes ordinary again. Some people try to hold on to déjà vu when it happens, but it slips away. That is part of the mystery. The more you inspect it, the less solid it becomes. A real memory gives details. Déjà vu gives atmosphere. This also teaches something humbling about the self. We often feel as if our inner world is direct access to truth, but many parts of experience are labels created by the brain. Familiar, new, safe, strange, important, boring. These labels shape reality before we think about them. There is no need to treat every déjà vu as meaningful. Sometimes the most interesting explanation is the simplest one. The brain is an astonishing prediction and memory machine, and even astonishing machines create small errors. The feeling can be so strong that it seems impossible to dismiss. You have not been in this exact moment before, but the moment carries the emotional stamp of memory. It feels familiar without giving you a real memory to point to. That is the key to déjà vu. It is not usually a memory of the future, or a hidden sign, or proof that time has looped. It is a mismatch inside the memory system. The feeling of familiarity turns on without the matching details that normally explain it. Sometimes a new moment resembles an old pattern just enough to trigger familiarity. The old memory may be weak, partial, or unrelated. You do not remember it clearly. You only feel the echo. Scientists often connect this to the temporal lobe, especially areas involved in memory and recognition. These brain regions help decide whether something is new, known, important, or connected to past experience. Another explanation is source confusion. Your brain recognizes a pattern but attaches the wrong feeling to it. It is a bit like seeing a familiar actor in a film and not knowing where you know them from. The recognition is real, but the source is missing. This does not mean your brain is broken. In most people, déjà vu is normal and harmless. It is a brief slip in a system that usually works so smoothly you never notice it. The weirdness comes from catching the machinery in the act. There is a more serious version in some neurological conditions, especially certain types of temporal lobe epilepsy. In those cases, déjà vu can be intense, frequent, or paired with other symptoms. But ordinary occasional déjà vu is usually just a mind glitch, not a warning sign. So when déjà vu happens, you are feeling the difference between reality and the brain's label for reality. The moment is new, but the label says familiar. For a second, the label wins, and the world feels strangely duplicated. In a strange way, déjà vu is proof of how hard your brain is working. It is checking the present against everything you have lived through, trying to understand where you are, what matters, and what has been seen before. The reason it feels so convincing is that familiarity is an emotion as much as a fact. You do not calmly calculate that a place is familiar. You feel it. The body gives the moment a tone. Déjà vu borrows that tone and attaches it to the present. There is also a prediction layer. The brain is always trying to guess the next moment before it fully arrives. It predicts the shape of a room, the rhythm of a sentence, the next step in a familiar pattern. When prediction and perception line up strangely, the present can feel rehearsed. Your brain may not say, "This reminds me of that cafe from years ago." Instead, it may simply say, "I know this." That shortcut is usually helpful. It lets you move quickly through life, but in déjà vu, the shortcut fires without giving you the full route. When those systems agree, memory feels normal. You see a place and remember when you were there. You hear a song and remember who played it. You smell food and remember a kitchen. The feeling and the source arrive together. The experience usually lasts only a few seconds because the brain corrects itself. That correction is important. It means the system is not failing completely. It is catching a false familiarity signal and bringing the moment back into alignment. The atmosphere is powerful because humans trust familiarity. Familiar things usually mean safer things. Familiar streets, familiar voices, familiar routines, familiar faces. The brain treats familiarity as useful information. So when familiarity appears in the wrong place, it gets your attention. The mind says, "Wait, why does this feel known?" That small conflict is what makes déjà vu memorable. It is a tiny argument between the present and the memory system. Déjà vu is one of the moments when the label becomes visible. You catch the brain applying a tag, and for a second the tag does not match the world. That mismatch makes the whole moment shimmer. But the error is not useless. It reminds you that memory is alive. It is not a dusty archive in the back of the mind. It is active in every second, shaping what feels familiar, what feels new, and what feels strangely in between.